I'm not sure how to start this. I've been sitting here for almost an hour now, just looking at this camera, trying to figure out what to say first. My name is Walter Brennan. I'm 83 years old, and I think I'm running out of time, not in a dramatic way. I'm not sick. Well, no sicker than anyone gets at this age. My doctor says my heart is holding on, which is a strange way to describe a heart, isn't it? Like it's gripping something, like it's trying not to fall. Maybe that's exactly what it's doing. I wanted to record this because there's something I've been carrying, something I finally understand now. And I don't know who else to tell. My wife, Eleanor, she passed 4 years ago. My son lives in Seattle. We talk on the phone every couple of weeks. He's busy. He has his own life. I don't blame him for that. So it's just me now. Me in this quiet house. And all these hours to think. You know, when you're young, you think time is a river. You think it just keeps flowing, keeps going, and there's always more of it ahead. You spend it like you'll never run out. And then one day you wake up and you're 83. And you realize it was never a river at all. It was a handful of sand, and most of it already slipped through. I want to tell you about a morning, a specific morning, June 14th, 1987. I remember the date because it was a Saturday, and my son Daniel had a baseball game. He was 11 years old, small for his age, not a great player, but he loved it. He loved everything about it, the glove, the smell of the grass, the way the dirt felt under his cleats. That morning, he came into the kitchen while I was reading the paper. He stood there for a moment, just looking at me. "Dad," he said, "will you come to my game today?" I didn't look up. I said, "I've got a lot to do, Danny. Maybe next time." He didn't argue. He just nodded, said, "Okay," and he walked out of the room. I remember hearing the screen door close behind him. I don't remember what I was doing that day that was so important. I don't remember a single thing about that Saturday, except that moment, his voice, the way he stood there, waiting, and the sound of that door. I didn't go to a lot of his games. I told myself I was providing for the family. I told myself he'd understand when he was older. I told myself I was doing the hard thing, the responsible thing. But the truth is, I just didn't see it. I didn't see that he wasn't asking me to watch baseball. He was asking me to see him, and I kept saying no. Eleanor used to say I was a good man who was always somewhere else. I didn't understand what she meant back then. I thought I was right there. I came home every night. I paid the bills. I fixed a leaky sink and mowed the lawn and showed up for Christmas. But she was right. I was always somewhere else. Even when I was sitting in the same room, my mind was at work, or on the next problem, or on something that happened 10 years ago that I still couldn't let go of. I was never just there. There's a word for what I did. I didn't know it at the time, but I know it now. I was present in body, absent in soul, and the people who loved me, they felt it. They felt the distance, even when I was sitting right beside them. I want to tell you about another moment. This one is harder. It was 1994. Eleanor and I had been married for almost 30 years. Daniel was off at college. The house was quiet in a way it had never been before. One night, she was sitting on the porch, looking out at the yard. I came out to tell her dinner was ready. But when I saw her face, I stopped. She was crying, not loud, just tears running down her cheeks, quiet as rain. I asked her what was wrong. She didn't answer right away. She just looked at me, and then she said something I will never forget. She said, "Walter, do you even know me anymore?" I stood there. I didn't know what to say, because the truth was, I wasn't sure. I knew her habits. I knew she liked her coffee black and her toast barely browned. I knew she hated the sound of the lawnmower and loved the smell of rain on pavement, but I didn't know what she dreamed about. I didn't know what she was afraid of. I didn't know what she wished for when she looked out at that yard every evening. I had stopped asking. Somewhere along the way, I had stopped being curious about the woman I loved. We didn't separate. We didn't fight. We just drifted. Two people living in the same house, sleeping in the same bed, and slowly becoming strangers. And the worst part is, I didn't even notice until she said out loud. I think about that night all the time now. I think about how easy it would have been to sit down beside her, to ask what she was thinking, to just be there. But I didn't. I told her dinner was getting cold, and I walked back inside. I don't tell you this so you'll feel sorry for me. I'm not looking for that. I tell you because it took me 50 years to understand something very simple. And I'm still not sure I fully understand it even now. There's a thing that happens when you get old. You start seeing your life not as a line moving forward, but as a landscape you can look back on, like standing on a hill and seeing all the places you've been. And from up here, things look different. The things I thought mattered, the promotions, the money, the The house, the car, they're so small now. Just little dots on the landscape, barely visible. But the moments with people, those are the mountains. Those are the rivers. Those are the only things that still feel real. I want to tell you about my father. His name was Harold. He worked in a factory his whole life. Hands like leather. Never complained. Never talked much, either. When I was a boy, I used to wish he would say something, anything, to let me know he saw me, that he was proud of me, that I mattered to him. But he never did. He'd come home, eat dinner, sit in his chair, and fall asleep in front of the television. That was his life. That was our relationship. When he died, I was 31. I stood at his grave and felt nothing, just emptiness. And I made a promise to myself that day. I promised I would never be like him. But I was exactly like him. I just didn't see it. I used to think that love was something you proved through sacrifice. That if I worked hard enough, provided enough, gave up enough of myself, then the people I loved would know. But they didn't know, because I never said it. I never showed it in the ways that mattered to them. I showed it in the ways that made sense to me, and that's not the same thing. Daniel called me a few months ago. He's 54 now, has 2 kids of his own, a good job, a nice house. He said something during that call that stopped me cold. He said, "Dad, I spent my whole childhood trying to get your attention, and I don't think I ever really had it." I didn't know what to say. He wasn't angry. That's what surprised me. He just said it like a fact, like something he had finally accepted. And I realized that all those years, all those missed games and half-listened conversations and distracted dinners, he remembered them too. He carried them too. I thought I was invisible in those moments. I thought no one was paying attention. But he was. He was paying attention the whole time. After Eleanor died, I found a box in her closet. Letters. Dozens of them. All addressed to me. She never sent them. She never even told me about them. They were letters she wrote over the years, when she was happy, when she was sad, when she felt alone. She wrote to me like I was someone she was trying to reach, someone far away. In one of them, she wrote, "I wonder sometimes if you know how much I love you, and I wonder if you love me too. I think you do, but I wish you would show me." I sat on the floor of that closet for 2 hours. I couldn't move. I loved her so much. I loved her more than I ever said, more than I ever showed. But she never knew. She never really knew. That's the thing about time. It doesn't wait for you to get it right. It doesn't give you a second chance to say the thing you should have said. It just keeps moving. And one day you wake up and the person you meant to tell, they're gone. I used to think I had all the time in the world. I used to think I could fix things later, say things later, be present later. But later never comes. There's only now. And most of the time, I missed it. I want to be careful here. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life. I don't have that right. I barely figured out my own. I'm just sitting here in this quiet house talking to a camera because I don't know what else to do with what I finally see. When I was 62, I retired. I had worked at the same company for 37 years. They gave me a watch, a nice dinner, a plaque with my name on it. And then I went home and I sat in my chair and I realized I had no idea who I was without my job. I had spent so many years being busy, being productive, being needed, that I had never stopped to ask what I actually wanted, what mattered to me, what I would do with my life if no one was paying me to do anything. Eleanor tried to get me out of the house. She suggested trips, hobbies, volunteering, but I resisted. I didn't want to admit that I was lost. There's a silence that comes when you stop moving. It's not peaceful at first. It's terrifying because you start hearing all the things you've been running from, all the questions you never answered, all the feelings you pushed down. They come up one by one, like stones rising to the surface. I started walking in the mornings, just around the neighborhood, nothing far. And during those walks, I began to remember things, not the big things, not the weddings or the funerals or the promotions, the small things, the way Daniel used to hold my hand when he was scared, the sound of Eleanor humming in the kitchen, the smell of my mother's perfume when she hugged me goodbye before school. These are the things no one tells you to pay attention to because they seem so ordinary, so forgettable. But they're not. They're everything. They're the only things that stay with you when everything else falls away. I used to think life was about achievement, about building something, leaving something behind. But now I think it's about something else entirely. It's about presence. It's about being fully there in the moments that matter with the people who matter. And I wasn't. For most of my life, I wasn't. I want to tell you one more story. This one is recent. A few weeks ago, my neighbor's son came by to help me move some boxes from the garage. His name is Marcus. He's 17. Good kid, quiet. While we were working, He asked me something. He said, "Mr. Brennan, what's the point of all this? School, work, life, what's it all for?" I stopped what I was doing. I looked at him and I told him the truth. I said, "I don't know." He laughed like he thought I was joking, but I wasn't. And then I said, "But I think it might have something to do with the people you love and whether or not you really show up for them." He didn't say anything. He just nodded and we went back to moving boxes. I'm going to stop soon. I'm tired, not just from talking, just tired. But I want to say one more thing. I used to be afraid of death, not the pain of it, just the ending. The idea that one day I would be gone and the world would keep going without me. But I'm not afraid anymore because I realize now that the part of me that mattered, the part that loved and was loved, that doesn't disappear. It lives on in the people I touched, in Daniel and his kids, in the memories they carry. I just wish I had given them more to carry. If Eleanor were here right now, I would sit beside her. I would take her hand and I would say, "I'm sorry I wasn't all the way here. But I'm here now." That's all I would say, because that's all I ever needed to say. I don't know who's listening to this. Maybe no one. Maybe a few people who stumbled onto it late at night, looking for something. If that's you, I don't have any advice for you. I don't know your life. I don't know your struggles. I don't know what you're carrying. But I do know this. The people in your life, the ones you love, they won't be there forever. And neither will you. And the time you have with them, it's the only thing that actually matters. Not the money, not the success, not the things you can buy or build or prove, just the time, just the presence, just the being there. That's all I have. I'm going to turn this off now. Thank you for listening. If this meant something to you, maybe sit with it for a while. Maybe call someone you haven't called in a while. Or don't. It's your life, but it goes by fast, faster than you think.